It's actually starting to snow right now, so hopefully it's not too nasty. But the main reason why you don't want to be a perfectionist is because being a perfectionist is another form of procrastination. And procrastination is very closely associated with fear. When you approach anything from a fearful mindset, it's almost promised that you're going to get failure. You may be thinking to yourself, okay, if I can make this perfect, then there's no chance that this is going to fail. There's no chance I'm going to encounter any kind of errors, etc. But in reality, what you're doing, because you can always find something, you always can find a way for things to be better for any kind of way in your life. Anything that you're doing, you can find a way for it to be better. But really what you're doing is you are postponing your growth. Something that would have took you a day to really learn, you've actually prolonged that for a year. We all know people who we expected to be, I don't know, just be very successful out in life. I had a lot of friends that are very intelligent. And a lot of times when those friends get out into the real world isn't a school textbook. There is no 100% answer. So because there is no 100% answer out there, they're never sure if what they're doing is actually right. And honestly, that's the beauty in life. The beauty in life is actually just trial and error, just self-discovery, trying to figure out things and to grow through those experiences. But when you have that perfectionist mindset, you apply that to anything. You apply it to your romantic relationships. You can apply it to the work environment. You can apply it to like even your friendships. When things don't go right and you have that perfectionist mindset, what it does is it creates some kind of trauma in your life. You start to build up these walls, and then that actually blocks your blessings, any kind of other area that you have in your life. So that's the main reason why you don't want to be a perfectionist. You approach life from a fearful point of view. And like I said, when you approach anything from a fearful point of view, it's almost promised that you're going to get failure and you're going to be damaged by that failure. So how does being a perfectionist relate to software engineering? I'm not sure how experienced you are as a software engineer. Maybe you're a first year, maybe this is like your fifth year, or you have 5+ years of professional experience. Now, if you are in the professional world, it's almost promised that you can relate to this next statement. A lot of software engineers who have the perfectionist mindset, they take forever to get anything done. What do I mean? When you're working on a project for a corporation, let's say any company size, we have these 2-week sprints. Now, when you have a group of perfectionist engineers, more than most of the time, well, a good percentage of the time, you're not going to make your sprints. And that's because all you can see is problems. A project or a feature that should take about a month to get done, it'll take 3 to 6 months to get done. For the first company I worked for, we actually had this issue. We had an application that we needed to be done in about 4 months. All right. So the application took us a good year to actually get done. And the reason the application took us a year to get done is because, first off, we had a lot of engineers who had no idea about the new technology. They didn't understand how your application needed a state store. We're building the application with Angular. And just like React, Angular also has Redux. I think it's NGRX. I'm not sure, maybe NGRJ, something like that. But Angular has its own state store. Now, these engineers never even heard of it. So we actually built the application without a store. On top of that, we took forever to get our APIs taken care of. And we also took forever to even put together the design. And when our investors or our board, when our board actually was trying to plan for these features and actually set up some kind of function to actually discuss those features, they couldn't do it because every time we gave them a date, we never made our date. And a lot of the reason we had that is because we always found issues. The fact of the matter is, when you're doing software engineering, there's always going to be bugs. There's always going to be issues. Now, let's fast forward to where I'm at now. I'm working for a $1 billion corporation right now. $1 billion corporation. And you would think that these corporations, the reason that they're so good, the reason they make so much money, is because they have everything in order the way it should be. Now, from a managerial perspective, yes, everything is where it should be. That's when it comes to like HR or any kind of other department within that company. The CEOs of those companies, they have a very strong idea at how a business is supposed to look on a fundamental scale, how it's supposed to be architected, how you're supposed to put the places, the positions that people are supposed to play. That's taken care of. But when it comes to actually building these features and having our sprints, we always make our sprints. And our application, more than most of the time, is not perfect. Sometimes it's buggy when we actually put it out there. We already know that it's buggy. That doesn't stop us from putting it out there. The biggest concern is that the application actually builds. If it builds, we put it out there. And then the next sprint, we take care of those bugs. We address those bugs that we actually released. And we also address new features if we can. And that's why if you ever use an application, it always says, okay, this is 1.6.2 or 1.1.1.2 or something. And then if you read the difference that's from version to version, a lot of times it says bug fixes. Even when you see those Instagram updates or any kind of application using updates, a lot of times it's bug fixes. And these large corporations knows the most important thing is hitting the market quick. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be on the market quick. Your users have to use it, play around with it, get comfortable, build a relationship with your application, because that's what's going to make your application successful. Users and returning users. Now, lastly, I want to touch base on how having a perfectionist mindset and how it can actually impact you in everyday life. There's this book that I love reading. I read this book probably about twice a month, probably a little bit more than that if I can get through it. But the name of that book is called Outwitting the Devil, and it's by Napoleon Hill. And then within that book, there's a section in that book where it discusses failure. One of the things that it emphasizes within that section of failure, it talks about how procrastination is actually another form of fear. And it goes into how failure is actually one of the C's to success. And it is not the C to success, but it actually is one of the C's to success. Because when you fail, you already know how something won't work. And then when you fail and you're willing to move forward, it actually builds up your willpower. It makes you more confident when you know that you can actually you can roll with the punches, you can get down, you can get back up. A lot of people, they get so afraid to fail at something that they never accomplish anything in life. They never move forward. They never move forward in anything. I'll use my life as an example. If you guys watched my video about being intelligent when it comes to becoming a software engineer. Now, for me, like I said, I don't come from the best background. A lot of my teachers, they didn't even teach us from like 5th grade through 8th grade. I didn't have not one homework assignment. They just were like, hey, if the principal comes by or any kind of other teacher comes by, keep your book on this page. I'm going to be at my desk on the computer chilling. You guys do what you want to do. That's how it was for me in 8th grade. I didn't have not one homework assignment. We didn't have no exams. I'll discuss that in a later video. But with having the background that I have, when I actually climbed in life, when it comes to educational goals and all these other aspirations that I've had, a lot of that was tied to my willpower. It was tied to my mindset. Although I didn't come from the best background, my mind was locked that I was actually going to accomplish something in my life. And that's actually how I feel about building this YouTube channel and building my own business. And I've had friends who I admired, who had way more talent than me, whether that was athletically or they came from better families than me, economically, class-wise. They may have come from those type of backgrounds. And the thing that ultimately put me above my friends is that not only did I have goals, I wasn't afraid to actually go for those goals. And I wasn't afraid to fail. And I'm still not afraid to fail at anything that I do. So if you're listening to this, if you're a software engineer, definitely put yourself out there and be willing to fail. Even if this is like you don't have that, you don't think you're that good of a software engineer, just apply for the position, go through the interview process, and learn how to have these interviews. Even if you don't get it on the first try, I still don't get it, and I have years of experience. You don't get it on the first try. The point is to get better at these interviews, and to actually learn what these companies are expecting and prepare yourself for it in the future. And also, if you have any kind of other goals when it comes to losing weight or it comes to, any other thing like that. I just use losing weight as an example because people struggle with that. You have to have a positive mindset. You have to believe that you can do it. All right. But anyways, also check out my course, Learning React Native Without the Bullshit. If you're interested in becoming a React Native developer. Also, if you want to check out my credentials, go to the link in my description, my LinkedIn. You can only view my LinkedIn if you have a LinkedIn. So if you're a software engineer, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a LinkedIn. You're not taking it serious. So get yourself a LinkedIn now. You can check me out on LinkedIn, check out my credentials. A lot of guys talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And I definitely walk the walk. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.